Hello, Tubies. How are you all doing? I hope you are doing fantastically well. And I apologize if you can hear anything in the background. My cat is going to be running around and playing. What I wanted to talk to you today, while you watch the nature, is the idea of the 4 planes of manifestation. This is something that I've stumbled across and have been doing a little bit of reading into. I don't fully understand it myself, but I'm going to try and explain based off of what I do understand. So there are 4 planes of manifestation when we're dealing with manifesting whatever it is that we want in our life. And it's very important to keep in mind that these planes of manifestation are kind of low level. We don't think about them when we're doing our craft. We don't take the time to really understand the processes. And when we get into the season, or the series, I should say, on Dancing with Demons, we're going to get a little bit more deeper into this. I will link the blog post that I have found down below in case you are interested in reading it yourself. I will not be reading the entire thing for you, but they do try to break this down in a more new agey approach, not one that I would bash on or just say you're simplifying it too much. They do simplify things. This is an old concept. It's also known as the fourfold world of the Kabbalist. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? So the 4 planes are really simple. There's the plane of idea, the plane of realization, the plane of formation, and the plane of expression. So the plane of an idea is kind of like the idea that you have before you do anything, right? So there's a problem and you're trying to solve it and an idea will pop up. It's the thing that hasn't manifested yet, okay? So according to the blog post here, it states that the understanding of these planes is not straightforward. When is it ever? And I have found with such things that it is usually best to start with that which is familiar. In other words, human consciousness side of the equations, sometimes referred to as the microcosm or the cosmos, as it is expressed by analogy within man himself. Each of these planes reside as a source of plane below and ideas. If you will flow from plane of idea down to the others, to the plane of expression or the physical plane. So the plane of expression, which is the last and the 4th plane, is known as the physical plane. It is the most dense. It is where our ideas, our realization, and our formation all come together to create something on the physical plane. Now, a lot of times when we talk about this, we talk about how it's the idea starts in the mind of God and transcends down through various cosmic beings. In some texts, it stipulates this. And from there, it then manifests. Now, depending on how you look at the occult, depending on how you practice the occult, depending on what it is that you do with the occult, most of us are just simple witches, right? Like we need money, so we do a spell. We want love, so we do a spell. But we never really fully understand what it is exactly that we're doing at a subconscious or even conscious level. All we're thinking about is, I need this thing, so I'm going to reach out to these entities or these spirits or these ancestors or whatever, and I'm going to manifest this thing using their power. So there's the plane of idea, realization, formation, and expression all at once. So you have an idea of something you want, you realize that thing, you formulate a way to manifest that thing, and then it appears in the plane of expression, also known as the physical plane. So take the following. Seed and plant it in your mind. Ideas are realized into thoughts. Thoughts are formed into imagination, and imagination is expressed into form. So, like, what does that mean in context of what I'm talking about? So what that means is that, let's go back to the money example, right? So you need money for whatever reason. So there is an idea of how to get that money, which is then realized into thought. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, I need rent money. I need to get a job. Okay, so there's the idea of getting a job, which is realized into thought by you going and applying for said job. Now, if you've done all the mundane stuff and you need to cast the magical spells to do it, then the idea that is being realized into thought is the fact that you need to cast a spell to attain what you want. Thoughts are formed in imagination. We are very imaginative people as witches. We work with entities that are old. We work with entities that have been around a lot longer than us. We can feel their energies. We can feel their presence. We use visualization in order to see the thing that we want. So if we want a new relationship, we will visualize ourselves in a relationship with somebody else, right? Like this is pretty basic stuff, right? So thoughts are formed in imagination, which means that we are visualizing the thing that we want. The imagination is expressed into form, meaning that the thing that we have been visualizing comes into form as we cast our spells and move in that direction. Okay. For unless you actually bring the idea into earth, as it were, it remains unexpressed and not fully in manifestation. It is a duty of those who consciously work the planes of manifestation to bring these ideas into physical reality. For example, the ideas expressed herein would be of no value if I kept them to myself and did not express them, at least in speech or in some physical manner that others could interpret. So even just by writing a blog post, you are using the 4 planes of manifestation. You are taking the idea of what you want to talk about, you are putting it into a concrete form, and you are sharing it on the physical plane. Okay. So this plays in with the principle of polarity. This is an abstract understanding. So we have the physical expression of polarity as displayed by the life forms, in other words, living animals themselves. So this blog post goes on to basically state that human beings, when they use the 4 planes of manifestation, we are manifesting our will, our desire, but from my understanding of how this blog post seems to flow, it seems to be more of a cosmic principle. So, for example, we have the idea of polarity, which I always fail to say, which basically states that there are 2 equal but opposite things. So in animals we have genders, right? Like in mammals and every living thing, generally we have a female and a male. The concept is formed in diversive ways, but it is sufficiently well developed for us to recognize gender when we see it in other life forms. Life forms, it should be said, that are diverse as fish, insects, plants, and birds in the plane of realization, when then we may say that we have a principle of polarity as realized by gender. This is still quite abstract. So this is a really kind of a little bit in-depth, but there's always one concept that plays with manifestation, and it's a concept that so many people don't understand. As above, so below. Okay, so when people think of as above, so below, the first thing that they think about is, oh my God, if I cast this spell, it's going to come back to me. That's not always true. Think about when you're standing in front of a still pond and you throw a stone into it and it creates the ripples, right? Those ripples affect everything, all the way out to the edges of the pond and even onto the shores a bit of the pond, depending on how big of a stone that you threw. This means that every action that you have has an opposite and equal reaction. So I don't want you thinking about, oh, I can't curse this person, I can't hex this person because as above, so below. That's not what it means. It just means that everything will end up balanced out. So if you curse somebody, it's not that it's going to come back to you, as we are so familiar with the threefold and the this and the what you put out there comes back to you. They put it in such black and white terms. It basically just means that no matter what you put out, an opposite and equal reaction will happen in order for there to be balance. Because you can't do something and not have balance in the way that it gets done. So to summarize, then, we may view the world without us we may view the world about us, as consisting of 4 planes, beginning with the plane of idea, which is very subtle, and ending with a plane of expression, which is very dense. Each plane is more dense as we go down the stack, and each of these planes takes its influence from the plane above. There's a great deal more that can be said about these planes, and in a way in which relates to our own selves. However, these are genuine subjects for meditation and contemplation, and it is hoped that we will continue to bring our minds to these concepts, and thus, through our application of gentle light, unfold the truth just as the flowers unfold to meet the dawn. So this blog post, it does start off talking about New Age and how people don't really want to learn the older ways. They want to learn the newer ways. They want to bring the occult into more modern times. And I don't really think you can do that without distilling down and destroying the fundamental concepts that make the occult what it is. So I hope that you guys gained something from this, and I hope that you guys were able to learn a little bit about the process of manifestation. And again, the blog post is linked down below. Until next time, my fabulous little tubies.